Father, who art in heaven, we thank thee so much, O God, that thy truth is able to sustain us in every situation. And we thank thee, O God, that even this truth exposes the very hidden agendas of the powers that be, of those that rule in the earth at this time and are not under thy rulership. Thank you for the rights of men that expanded in its view. We see how it is that our rights are being encroached more and more each day, and that we have to take a moral stand against all these encroaching of our rights and freedoms, even in the aspect of health. Be with me this afternoon as I give this presentation. Let your Holy Spirit give me the humility, give each and every one of us the understanding, O God, of what is being said. And therefore, you being informed further can help your friends, your family, and those you come into contact with. Thank you very much, and continue to be with us and give us sinfulness all the time. It's my prayer, much thanks given in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. All right, brethren. A simple rehash from last week. Last week, for those who were not here to hear of the study of Gardasil, I presented a paper from the Trinidad Express, and it expressed in the paper the Ministry of Health Minister Farouk Khan purporting the goodness of the Gardasil vaccine. And he says the development of this vaccine, it carries the cancer treatment of different realms, moving from early detection into prevention. So he said not only will this vaccine move into the realm of detection, but it will also move into the realm of prevention. So then what I did, I put it simply like this. Gardasil is on trial here today. You are all the Europeans. We are going to put Gardasil and the pro-Gardasil people or manufacturers on the stand of truth. And we are going to see if they weigh up to what the truth says. So, what is Gardasil claims, or those who are purporting it? One, it prevents cervical cancer. Two, it protects against human papilloma viruses. And three, it cut costs for the cancer patients as well as the state. Because the certain people have to go in hospitals and they have to be taken care of and given treatment. Oh, it is so expensive for the government. Okay, so we are looking at the burden of proof, therefore, is that since we disagree with what they are saying, I'm going to show the inefficacy of Gardasil. I'm going to show Gardasil's dangers. I'm also going to show there is an economic connection. Alright? So, where do we begin? Obviously, since it is a vaccine, where do we begin? I'll quickly give again the ingredients of this vaccine. This vaccine has an adjuvant, which is a compound that speeds up your immune system response to the vaccine. And this aluminum, animal studies and human studies have shown aluminum causes nerve dead cell, and that the vaccine with aluminum adjuvant can allow aluminum to enter the brain as well as to cause inflammation at the injection site, leading to chronic joint and muscle pain as well as fatigue or tiredness, extreme tiredness. Number two, sodium borate or borax, B-O-R-A-X. This main ingredient is boric acid. Boric acid is often used to kill cockroaches. Sodium borate is listed as a dangerous poison. And I personally went on the website and I typed in substance of very high concern. Now, a regulatory body put this kind of chart to show people what are the substances of very high concern and should you trust them. So this candidate list or this substances of very high concern list was brought out again in the 16th of December 2010. And the candidate list show that the regulatory body can evaluate, they can authorize, they can restrict the chemicals that are placed in the vaccine. Now, do you know borax, what I just stated, sodium borate, is on the substance of very high concern list. Now, you would think that if this is in the vaccine and is on that particular dangerous list, which is showing dangerous chemicals and so on, you would think they will take it off, but it is on that list, okay? And they didn't take it off. They didn't require that they should remove it from inside of the Gardasil vaccine. So, my dear brethren, today as I speak, it is there. Okay? Okay. Okay, brethren. Again, to those of you now visiting today, and to those who were not here last week, what it is we touch, we showed whereby this vaccine are going to be given to children the ages of 9 to 26 years. However, the Ministry of Health says that they are going to be giving it to children from November here coming. They are going to be giving it to children 11 and 12-year-olds. Both, not boys, sorry, but girls.
So, Satyagrat, that HPV, the human papillomavirus, is a sexually transmitted disease?
Yes.
And they give it to children 9?
Yeah, because they are saying, their claim for giving the children, they are saying that they want the children to be protected before the children get active.
Yeah, I just want to ask a provocative question, but this is just by the way. Has there been any research into vaccines and the whole to show that any vaccine has been successful in inoculating or protecting people from anything, whether it be the polio vaccine, yellow fever, or whatever? Do we have evidence that they have worked in the past at any time at all?
They have evidence, but they swept it under the carpet. They have evidence that what they did in certain countries was raise the standard of hygiene or hygienic methods, and that actually protected the people against getting certain diseases that they said the people needed to be vaccinated for. So what they found, once they raised the standard of hygiene in those countries, they found that they didn't have to give them shots. So what did you really have to look at, Brother Troy, is the fact that it's not your health they are really after. And I'm going to show conclusively that the real thing behind this, while they want to lessen the population, they also want to make a lot of money while doing it. So the real trust is economic, not health.
Why I had asked that is that many people have said that if you take it from the perspective of showing that vaccines and the whole is not a good thing, people can understand, because people have a lot of ideas. Well, look, people have been vaccinated for polio and polio has been eradicated. People have been vaccinated with yellow fever and it has been eradicated. So this is the knowledge that people have in their minds. So if you show that vaccines and the whole is not a good thing, it can help you. In your study, we said to people, well, this Gardasil thing, what this thing that I'm doing now, it ain't work because it never had any time that vaccine never helped anyone. It's not money making there. In the fact, because a lot of people have in their mind vaccine is good. So if you just come and say this one is bad, you know you need more help. I'm saying, that's all.
And then you will also need another date, because I have books that can give you untold evidence of what you are asking. There is the book, Murder by Injection.
Yes.
There is Eustace Mullins' book that shows over and over in history that before they even gave the shots, as I told you before, once they observe proper methods of sanitation, no malaria, no this, no that. However, what they showed is because people have become lax in their lifestyle habits and all these things, they unnecessarily expose themselves, and therefore their immune system low, they are more apt to take in or to catch these various viruses. So therefore it's not a matter per se of the vaccine's efficiency that cause polio and these things to drop. It is an uplifting of the people's ideas of health and their lifestyle habits and so on. But again, at our next forum, that can be addressed, not on this one. But I understand the question I'm taking in stride. Okay, so as I was saying, my dear brethren, that what in conjunction with WHO, World Health Organization, in conjunction with Pan American Health Organization, in conjunction with the Food and Drug Administration, all of these, you even have Bill Gates and associates coming in on the Gardasil issue to back gynecologists and these people and giving them $300,000 a year grant so that they can be on the side of the manufacturers of this vaccination. So it's a lot of big people, high people that belong to this whole this whole conspiracy.
Sister Juliet, Bill Gates deal with computer, what he doing with our vaccine?
It is an investment for him. And therefore, when you go on the website, you just type in FORBES, Forbes Company, and on Forbes Company, they give you all the latest entrepreneurial ideas. And they show you that Bill Gates and Melinda Gates have it here as well. And they are showing that Bill Gates and Melinda Gates, they are buying into this Gardasil and these things because they will make what? Extra profit. So it is all in the case of money. Money. Alright, so what I was saying, I was showing that, and this is another perspective you can take it from. When those out there come, they are going to come with some good arguments. And like Brother Troy said, they say, but vaccination generally is good. And since vaccination generally is good, then it means to say that our fears over this is unfounded. And then you have to do a bit of research now, and you have to bring a little history and show that these countries that the polio, the tuberculosis, these different things decline rapidly, we'll bring the history and show it wasn't because of the results of vaccination or being vaccinated. It was actually because of what? Their standards was raised, their hygienic standards was raised. And before they even get a shot, it had already begun to decline, showing it was not the vaccine. Also, Forbes showed that Gardasil really actually didn't kill no 100 and something girls that took it. He said because he started to go a bit of history and show that the tuberculosis, when that vaccine first came out, people said it killed how much and how much. And then he bring on the polio and he said people say that vaccine too killed how much and how much. So what he is trying to do is lumping everybody, all the vaccines together to show that look at our risk. So look, all of them have a little portal entry whereby that's so what? So what is so different with Gardasil? But the point of contention is this. He is trying to show that is coincidental. These deaths are coincidental. I beg to differ and I ask, if it is coincidental, how come I read for you a few episodes of young people who are affected from across the globe, the spectrum is wide, They don't converse with each other. Yet, when they take the Gardasil, after the Gardasil vaccine, they all can complain of the very same symptoms.
Yeah.
All of them speak about the extreme fatigue. All of them speak about rashes on their skin. All of them speak about dizziness and being partly paralyzed. So how come all of them are in collusion when they don't even know each other? Isn't that a coincidence? It is not. No. Because they know very well, and I'm going to read here for you from their own statements that the FDA knew all along that Gardasil cannot, hear my statement with no apology, emphatically, cannot prevent or stop or lower the incidence of cervical cancer. Why? Because HPV is a sexually transmitted disease, and not only that, it is very minute in proportion to other diseases. In other words, when it comes into the body like the common cold, once you uptake your vitamin C, once you uptake drinking a lot of fluids and eating properly, it goes away. So obviously, if it goes away on its own, what you need a vaccine for? It's going to go out to the body anyway. At least they show that, and their scientists show that. So what is this all about? So this is what we are here saying.
Could ever tell us last week, most of all of the HPV do not cause cellular cancer?
It doesn't. Alright? So one more of the ingredients is polysorbate. Polysorbate is an ingredient in the Gardasil. Polysorbate is a food additive. It's a food additive, right? But when you put it into flavoring the food, oils with water, it's very good. However, to inject it into the human bloodstream is different. Polysorbate injected into prepubescent rats, or rats that is now reaching puberty, cause a rapid growth of the reproductive organs. But the growth was abnormal and the rats became sterile. Now that is in consistency with the symptoms that the young people, some of them, their doctor told them they would never be able to have children after the Gardasil shots. So that is in keeping with the sterility of the rats. Look at the young people, they cannot have children. Some of them, not all of them, some of them. That's how it affected them. You see?
So really population
L-histidine. L-histidine is what your body will secrete when it is that you are exposed to toxins or you are exposed to different pollutants and stuff in the air, and then they say you are allergic to certain things. So what it does, it is a precursor that brings on what? An allergic reaction. And here it is that the girls are saying, some of the cases I read to you, they are saying that when they took the shot, they became very allergic. Some could photosensitivity, they couldn't stand light, they couldn't stand certain things, different hives and things came out on their skin. That is because of the L-histidine. And then there's yeast protein, it is a form of MSG. And the thing about it is, the vaccine contains this form of MSG in it. And therefore it causes a whole host of other health problems, in which I will read a few just now. So therefore, this is not all the ingredients, brethren, that I'm reading here. This is only a portion because true as it stands, when you go on Merck website, they give you this, they don't give you the VLPs, which is the viruses, other particles. The virus have various particles that they add in like adjuvants, they don't give you all that. So you see, they give you the basic thing, they don't give you all. Okay, so
I have a question.
Yes.
So Merck cooks up a vaccine.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And they put all those various properties like what you read in the vaccine.
Yes.
How are they sure that these properties are going to work in collusion with each other to help your body. Is it not like if you put a whole set of different things together in a vacuum and just pump it in your body? How do they know that if you put yeast and if you put some kind of a rat poison or mercury or whatever, and you put them all together, they're going to work in tandem with each other to deal with the symptoms? How do they know that? What is the logic of a vaccine?
They don't know that. That is why they have phase 2, phase 1, phase 3 trials. And from these trials that we have, phase 2 trials demonstrated Garrison's cancer fighting capability. Yeah. So here what they did, they say phase 2, phase 3 trials demonstrated Garrison's cancer fighting capability. They took blind studies. Double-blind study means that they take a host of, let's say, 50 people. They don't tell you the person what they're giving you. And they don't tell your doctor what they gave you. They know what they gave you. So your doctor don't know and you don't know. They call it a double blind. So he's blind to what you took, you are blind to what you took. And then they follow your progress or regress according to what they see, because they follow you sometimes all kind of 4 years and you don't know. In the hospital, all of hospital right here in Trinidad and Tobago, right in the maternity clinic, they started to inject some of the girls making babies and they told them it was folic acid. It was not. How I will find out that? Incidental revelation. I am invited to PAHU having a age trial vaccine symposium. Go to that. Mr. Gallo comes there, Mr. Bartholomew comes, Professor Bartholomew comes there, and next one from Maryland. And when they come, they start to talk about the age vaccine trials and start to say something good. Maybe people could invest in it, it will help them against AIDS, this and that and the other. And then they reveal, incidentally, when we have a group of people we test, they are called cohorts, but they don't know we are testing them. And a question was asked, where do people come from? They take people from prison and just vaccinate them. They take the armed forces and they vaccinate them. They take people from the maternity, those young people who don't know what's going on. Tell them to give me a vitamin or something, and they're testing them. It came out in that meeting system. And you know what they said? They said in following up these studies, they get to realize what developed in the people and what didn't develop. Isn't that making people guinea pigs? And people don't know. They don't know. This on ethical practice. They don't find that. Hear what they say. That is for the greater good of science, girl. A few could go. That's how they look at it. A few could go is for the greater good of science. And for all people, they just give it up. We know it's not illegal. They give that.
There are laws in America observing doctors from being able to be charged for those things.
Yeah, patients and things.
Yeah.
Knocking patients and all this.
You have no recourse.
Like in
Wait, what is going on with you?
Sister Juliet, I can't remember if you read this last week, but we just saw this here on the internet, both Sister Dad and myself.
Yes.
And the telling is the truth about Garrison. And what do you say?
Go ahead, I have it here, no problem.
Yeah, what do you say is Garrison is an HPV vaccine touted to fight cervical cancer.
Same thing.
What they are not telling you is that thousands of girls, and never pity of the girls,
Yes.
thousands of girls are having adverse reactions to the HPV vaccine. Some have even died, and the last count was at least 103 lives have been lost.
Yes.
See?
And they were saying some of the side effects were seizures, strokes, dizziness, fatigue, weakness, headache, stomach pain, autoimmune problems, muscle pain, weakness, joint pain, hair loss, chest pain, and the list goes on.
And the list goes on. And that is not all of the list. So, without further ado, I want to go into showing, first and foremost, let me just show that some of these people that suffer this, what happens. website, there's no mention of death. That's on the Merck website, the people who are manufacturing this vaccine, right? There is no mention of death, there is no mention of seizures. Instead, Merck lists the most common symptoms as the only symptoms outside of an allergic reaction. And these symptoms include pain, swelling, itching, bruising, redness on the injection site, headache, fever, nausea, dizziness, vomiting, fainting. That is what Merck put on their website. When really and truly that is not the matter. The truth of the matter, like what the sister just read just now, is the fact that you're getting paralysis, yes, and you're getting all these different things. Look, the truth about Gardasil. That's what I was just reading there. And what they are saying here, these girls need help. These girls actually have reaction of seizure, stroke, dizziness, fatigue, weakness, headache, stomach pain, vomiting, muscle pain, weakness, joint pain, autoimmune problems, chest pain, hair loss, appetite loss, personality changing. Sometimes having thoughts of suicide, right? Insomnia, hand and leg tremors, arm and leg weakness, right? Shortness of breath, heart problems, paralysis, itching, rashes, swelling, aching muscle, pelvic pain, nerve pain, menstrual cycle changes, fainting, swollen lymph nodes, night sweat, nausea or bad feeling, temporary vision loss, hearing loss, just to name a few.
Is that what the vaccine will be treated, or that's what it will cause it?
That's what it causes. So remember, brethren, you are the jury. So let me give you some evidence here. Listen to this. Gardasil and the Canadian connection. So they carry it to Canada, and they say here, the decision to approve Gardasil in Canada was not without controversy. $360 US for the course of 3 shots. That is for one person, brethren. Gardasil, the Canadian government paid $300 million. 300 million Canadian dollars. Yeah. So
then how did Thailand is cheaper?
Yeah. You see? They need to make the money. So here, brethren, Gardasil takes its place as the most costly vaccine on this side of the planet. And then he went on to show right. And then he went on to show that the manufacturers of Merck, the giant drug maker, is still reeling from the recall of its once celebrated. They had a painkiller called Vioxx. And this Vioxx, it had a big recall, and Merck lost millions. Millions they lost. So what they are doing now, Gardasil is something like a corporate life raft. So Gardasil is to help them get back up their credibility before people because they had lost out so much. And then they said Merck could find its revenues significantly boosted if they allow more of the vaccine to be administered to more people. So at first they said they would only give developed nations it. But they're so greedy when they saw that in 2010 they made 506 million pounds. We're not talking about US as yet. We're talking about England. We're speaking about in England alone. 506 million pounds. Not in ordinary money, dollars. And then they said in 2011 they made $1.6 billion US in 2011 alone. So obviously you can imagine what they did in 2012. So this is what we are saying. So they went on to show that the Canadian people, the deceptive history of Merck's Gardasil HPV, it is seen to be large-scale political deception. Why did they call it a political deception? This man, a man called Tobin, was a political crony. He is here, you wouldn't see it. You wouldn't see it here because the picture is small, but you will get these as I said. Thusia is his name, Billy Thusia, and he is the man who sat down and made a deal with President Obama because he's a health lobbyist. And he got $11.6 million for that deal. Now it's more than that, but really actually they show you what he got. Billy Thusia was the former congressman and he turned to the pharmaceutical industry. He fired his work with Obama and the administration and he gone into the pharmaceutical industry. Why, Virgil? Because with Obama and them he was getting $2 million a year. But this he getting $11.6 million. Isn't it about the money? Yeah, now. So, in the year 2010, he brokered a deal with President Barack Obama that helped pass the health care overall. So he's the one, together with this Eliav Bar, which is an Israeli doctor, and these two other scientists, and they work together to get Gardasil. So you see where the roots of this Gardasil vaccine, why it come into being, and where it comes from is monetary as well. So here what they say. After the law was signed, because Obama get the law signed, Thusia left his job and he has gone to be the head of the Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America. They call it PhRMA. It's an acronym for the Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America. And he is the highest paid lobbyist among health interest groups. So the thing about it is, the big pharma, as they are called, they're not interested in your health, brethren. Don't be fooled for 1 minute. They are interested to see the profits keep rising and your health keeps spiraling. That is what they are interested in. Yes, Sister Deb.
Sister Juliet, Sister Agnes just wrote this, right? She said, one woman said that a 15-year-old daughter who was an upcoming athlete could not even stand anymore for long periods and had to stop going to school. She was always tired and lethargic. Another one said her daughter started having so many mood swings with terrible muscle spasms that she became REDUSE. I don't know what that is. At age 16, she saw it. She saw a drastic change in her daughter's health. She was going on into a downward spiral depression. The Gardasil is so terrible that many mothers have lost many in letting their daughters receive this Gardasil. And right now, Sister Carleen is on one that says Gardasil developer claims vaccine prevents abnormal pap tests, not cervical cancer. So these things, what we're saying about the Gardasil is that under the guise of trying to prevent the cancer is damaging a lot of people, you know? So the information is very important about it.
So one more thing. to add to what
Before you add, I just want everybody to hear what you always say. So what they were showing, Sister Carlene and Sister Dell, they were showing that here is excerpts from people's daughters who died and who is actually sick because of the Gardasil. And here it is at first, when they had first decided earlier back, that Israeli doctor, when they first decided in the Gardasil story, when they first decided to bring about a vaccine, they said, maybe it's an impossible task. They said that. And then they said, but we can do it. And what they did, they separated the three scientists, the Ilya Bar, the other Dr. Johansson, and the other one, and they had their own little network of doctors who they work with. So the three of them worked together, yet separately pinpointed certain parts of the vaccine. And therefore they bring all those findings together. And then eventually they say, voila, we have the proper concoction for the vaccine now. So they have been, listen to me, brethren, they have been tinkering with this Gardasil for a decade now. It is not now they have this in the drawing board. So now they were only too glad to bring it out despite the fact that Dr. Diane Harper, who worked along with them, told them, my dear colleagues, I do not think that it is wise for you to dispense with this vaccine as yet. Yes. It needs more testing. They didn't take it on. They bring it out, and now you hear how much thing. Just now you'll hear, brethren, how much recalls and how much litigations, which is people are going to start to sue them because people have already started suing them.
Just to add to what Sister Dell was saying, and you called the name Sister Juliet, the same Dr. Harper, what she was saying is that the Gardasil does not cure cervical cancer, but what it does, it gives you something called the GBS, which is called Guillain-Barré syndrome, and it results in death.
Yes.
And she's one of the doctors in the
nervous system, and it causes numbness and paralysis, and eventually you can die from it. So based on what Sister Carlene said, let me read some of the evidence here for you on what she just said. The trail of evidence. What is the trail of evidence? The story begins with a company called Hi-Fi DNA. Now, this thing is real serious. And listen to this, brethren. Based on FDA, who we dealing with? Food and Drug Administration. If they say yes, they get approval, they could go. If they say no approval, you cannot go. So listen to how they are deceptive with this Gardasil. Based on the FDA rule, a class 3 virology testing device is one that is considered by the FDA to have a pre-market approval. So listen, up come Hi-Fi. Hi-Fi has made some nice little gadgets, and these gadgets are used in certain hospitals, like how you have a little gadget here, you stick your finger, you let out a little bit of blood, and you test it your glucose sugar. Right? Yeah. So they came up with a little gadget, but this is good because I want all to follow me, and if they don't understand, stop me. Let me paraphrase it, because we have a lot of big terms and things. Yeah. What they did, Hi-Fi Tech is a company that makes little gadgets to help people in health situations. Yes. Hi-Fi Tech went to the FDA, Mr. FDA, yes. We have a little gadget here. What is it for? This little gadget, we understand that you all want to make an anti-cancer vaccine. We can do that. But what we could do, we given you a little tester, and the tester, when people use it, they can find out if they have human papilloma virus. Okay? All they follow so far? Yeah. So Mr. FDA say, what does it do? They say it detects HPVs or human papilloma viruses. They say, okay, let us test it for effectiveness, for safety, for a reasonable assurance. And provided that is good, and we watch at the patient registries, and we look at the standard performance, we will get back to you on it. Okay? So they said, well, right. So when they went and they tested it now, they tested it and they came back with the argument that it is not a class 3 device, it is a class 2 device. Because a class 3 device says, this is good, a class 3 device says when they could detect what? Cancer. So they said this device you all have could only detect the papillomavirus. So when they use it, they use the little gadget and they use it on people who had the papillomavirus, it was detected. Well, it's time to use it on people with cancer because remember, brethren, the papillomavirus causing cancer. So when they test it on the people now to see, since it detected the HPV, let it detect the cancer because HPV given what? Cancer. Follow the logic? No cancer. So here we have it. This gadget cannot be a class 3, you know. We have to downsize it to a class 2, because the class 3 will detect the HPV and it will detect cancer. This not detecting no cancer. But they still didn't class it as class 2. So the people, HI Tech, Hi-Fi Tech, go back to the FDA. They say, we waited a whole year now. You tell us that this thing that we have here, it cannot detect cancer, which means the patients you're testing it on, which have HPV, look, they have no cancer, and I thought, no, let's say HPV does give cancer. Here's what the FDA say. For more than 20 years, the FDA had regulated the HPV test as a test for cervical cancer. So the people sue the FDA and they say, oh, little wicked. Look, our device showing you that the people have HPV, but look at showing it have nothing to do with cancer. So why are they downgrade our device and let us sell it on the market? Here then. No, because you all have it as class 3 and it detected the human papilloma, but it's not detecting the cancer. So in other words, the class 2 device may not be actually safe because we want something, listen to it good, we want a device that will detect the papilloma with the cancer. So look, the Gardasil thing, and look, the test for the test, look, it was picking up the HPV, but it wasn't picking up no cancer. So here what they say here, they say for at least since 2003, the FDA changed its position based upon this little gadget that the Hi-Fi will changed their position and their relationship between human papilloma virus and cervical cancer, stated here the FDA, HPV strain is not associated with no cancer. So if it's not associated with no cervical cancer, why everybody touting that the HPV vaccine will do what? Prevent cervical cancer. So here what the man say. So in October the 12th, 2007, the Hi-Fi DNA Tech sued the Food and Drug Administration and tell them they have to downgrade their detection technology class 2 and let it come out, because here what it is, the FDA know that the HPV has no link to cervical cancer. So remember, this is the strength of Gardasil, that its efficacy or its efficiency is in preventing what? Cervical cancer. But here it is the very FDA knows, so here we go. A company that manufactures a DNA testing device can detect the HPV virus, and therefore it is suing the FDA because they will not reclassify its medical device as a class 2 so they could put it on the market just because it was only showing HPV infections, but it could not show that it directly caused cancer. So that is strong evidence against them. This would mean the FDA has been aware for years that the HPV does not cause cervical cancer, which means the FDA approval of the Gardasil vaccine as well as the national push for Gardasil vaccination is based upon a grand medical hoax. And therefore, the victim in all this is the young girls who are apparently being subjected to a medically useless and potentially dangerous vaccine. So, here the story in the nutshell now. Here a young girl come, and you don't come and lie to tell the young lady that you're going and give her a vaccine.
So before you go, right? So what happened is that he was because of a last case history there, they got exposed.
Yes. That happened quite in 2007. And they were their own out. And look, www.news.medical.net #ID 3180. That is so when you go on the net with that, you see the whole story, how the FDA talk with their own mouth and say HPV. The Gardasil cannot prevent no cervical cancer. End of story. You understand? So he went on to say none of this information was apparently known during the more recent debates of the safety and the efficacy of the Gardasil, the HPV vaccine now in use. This means that the public debate over mandatory HPV vaccine lack key elements that is now essential to reaching a rational, evidence-based conclusion over the safety and the efficacy of the vaccine. If the vaccine cannot do these three things that it claimed to do, in fact, it cannot cut costs for no cancer patients, because when they give a cancer patient Gardasil or not, it's just going to get the people more sick, and in fact it will cause more costs to the government and cut costs. Yes. So it's not even cost effective. The next thing is, it does not protect against the HPV, because they're telling the HPV don't cause cancer. The HPV, they say give it a year to clean out your system. Once you treat your system right, you drink plenty fluids, you do what you have to do, like that preliminary. And then to prevent cervical, the FDA, they said, show your claim, it have no link to cervical cancer. So there go Gardasil, whole aim and objective out the window. But you see, it's not that. It's more than that. So that is why I want to tell you this now. So this shred of evidence, the FDA news release of March 31st, 2003, acknowledges that most infections by HPV, the FDA saying this, brethren, are short-lived and not associated with any cervical cancer. In recognition of the advances in the medical science and technology since 1988, in other words, since 2003, the scientific staff of FDA no longer consider HPV to be a low-high-risk disease, whether they are writing educational materials for the general public or whether it is the regulatory arm of the agency. It is bound that the classification scheme that placed HPV as a test no longer shows any risk for cervical cancer. You see? So what I want to show now,
Ministry of Health. How did the Ministry of Health get their information of a problem, let's say a problem with cancer or a problem with a virus? Do they not know what the FDA is saying?
The Ministry of Health, my dear brethren, do not go on these different websites. In fact, I went on Center for Disease Control, CDC, and what they show is that they give you a lot of information and hype about Gardasil and the good. They don't even give you the side effects. They give you all the good, the supposed benefit. And these are the websites. When I rang the Ministry of Health, Thursday, when I rang them and I asked them about, here it is, your minister says in the papers that he is going to have symposiums for the public to weigh the pros and cons, which is the arguments against and for Gardasil. How come it have none as yet? no, we are taking care of that. They lie, you know what they lie about? They lie about going to the public. They had not gone to the public. Even this morning, that had nothing to do with Garrison. This morning, what the Ministry of Health had in Milton was the future of herbal medicines in this Trinidad and Tobago, where they want to integrate herbs with the thing. But that's the next story. I'll tell you that the next time. So, what they did, they told me on the phone, I lied after the secretary, who they put me through. Then the people that's lying, the people that's lawyers. So they put on the phone, here they tell the woman, tell me. The woman said that they met with special interest groups. Hello, I have a quotation here, I must find it for you before I go home in a few minutes. Which shows you Bill Gates paid the gynecologists, how you call them, body or the association, he pays them $300,000 a year so that they can lobby for this. That's why, I have to tell you I'm lying. What is this? They can't say that Minister Khan said that who is calling for this? It is the body, the Ophthalmological Society, private practitioners, also the Gynecologic Society of Trinidad and Tobago. These are the people who qualify. You know why? Bill Gates and Melinda Gates said that they are the ones who will be giving these people the money. And here what they tell them. And when we give you the money, look at it.
Support specialist.
And when they give you the money, they say, do whatever you want with it. So don't worry with them.
Yes.
They offering, they buying out these special interest groups, and they paying them out big money, and to lobby for this. So it has nothing to do with your health. So what I want to show you is this. While we're talking right here now, brethren, do you know that Moku is making all these billions of dollars on our head? Do you know they have a SVO5 something new vaccine coming out too? They say when that come out, you're doing wrong for Garrison. So that's what's going on. But I don't want to talk it. Let me just quickly get it. I don't want to talk it. I want to give it to you.
Yes, so we can hear.
I want to give it to you. I don't just want to talk it.
Yes.
Not today. I saw I finish up all what I wanted, then I'll be able to give it to you, and then people can get a little money and get off. Sister Vanessa, I have hand up a long time and then what have I done? Say it again?
You mentioned it last week.
Yeah.
HPV virus.
Yeah.
What is the effects of the body and what's the worst thing that can result of the HPV virus? To say it cannot be more.
Alright. Yes. Okay. Now the HPV virus or the human papilloma virus, it comes from a family of papilloma viruses which is several hundred. Gardasil is a quadrivalent vaccine, meaning Gardasil addresses only 4 types. If you have hundreds of types and Gardasil addresses 4 types, that should tell you something. Now, in the human body, what the HPV does, the most thing it causes is genital warts. Okay? So last week I drew a little thing and I showed it's like, just picture a little coconut drop, brethren, or everybody knows what coconut drop looks like, right? It's roughy,
on top, yeah.
and yes, and it's raw. And just imagine a little miniature coconut drop on a person's genitalia, right? Or their private part, right? So just imagine this little drop, which they will call a wart, right? It's rough on top, rough on top the edges, and then it has a flat base. And this is embedded into the skin so that the top alone is what is showing. And they are telling you, these liars will tell you this, going and upgrade to become cancerous. Now this is like telling me, I made a sweet bird, And somehow the seed bread is going to attack me when I start to eat it. I mean, oh gosh, you know? So the most things that will happen, of course, it may be embarrassing for some people, married couples and what have you and what have you.
Yes.
But apart from that, when you clean the system, when you take some good old-fashioned bush, as we will call it, and herbs, clean out your body, clean out your blood, clean out the system, drink your uni, drink it, it's gone. And they said that.
Disappear.
Yeah, the FDA who said it. The FDA say, in other words, they realized since in 2003, the scientific staff of the FDA no longer consider HPV infection to be not high risk. It was never high risk. It was only said to be high risk, so they could sell it to how much people? Listen, they sell it 14 million girls in America. So, 12 million they sell it to the Canadian connection. Yeah? So they're selling it all over the place, and some countries didn't buy as much as some, but they're trying to get it spread all over. So what I want to read for you here is this. Does age... They buy it, but little. Not as much. So most of them, because you have to understand, the hype about this, let me tell you something, these people spend in marketing this thing millions of dollars to bring the ads and to bombard you in more than one way. That save one life, that was a big ad. I'm saving my life, I'm saving my life. You be the one, you be the one. I'm the one who will save my life. So all the young girls come out and say, take God and save them, and then, yay! Poor people and them don't know it happened them. Hours after taking it, drop down and die. Yeah. Respiratory failure and all kind of things.
And Sister Juliet, one of the things that they do in the ad is that when they show the girls gaiety and all them sort of things,
yes.
Then after the end they say they put high blood pressure, cancer, this, that, the other, and just call it out fast.
Yes, it's ridiculous.
They say it like a cartoon thing,
yes.
Like the cartoon speed up the voice. Think about them speed up a voice and go fast or fast. You can't say it like that. Yeah. Doing that as a pass so fast, the person will need their attention.
Yeah. This may cause high blood pressure, cancer.
But you know what I read here in this article, this is contradictory. Because if 150 types of the HPV virus exist, and if 40 types could be passed from one person through sexual contact, why give it to children that are not in sexual contact? This vaccine could only do it type 16 and 18.
You see?
You see?
Out of so much.
Out of so much.
But you know, Brother Medina, what they're doing right now? Right now, the FDA fed up with the people, so to speak, because they're badgering the FDA and telling them, approve these other vaccines because we're only dealing with 18 and 16. We want to deal with more types. So here you know, make more sisters and brothers of Vacine to give all over the population. And you'll have a whole over the world, you'll have a whole cross-section of young people coming up still, right? Can't make children, nothing at all. And you'll have a set of dukes, and nobody will be able to fight them because everybody too fatigued, and everybody too tired and worn out. This is the real thing, this is the aim. Does HPV vaccine increase the risk? Here what the line said, this thing I'm going to show you. What? They said this could increase the risk of precancerous lesions or sores, right? So here then, PCR-based HPV detection device with provision for accurate HPV urgently now needed because vaccination with Gardasil of the women who are already positive, it has been found it does not increase no risk of developing any lesions. So if you said you give the people who have the HPV, it does nothing for them. What is the sense? So I thought all this said that it will prevent against HPV. So at least we need to downgrade it, at least if we give it to the people, it's not doing nothing. And then he went on to say, it resolves itself, HPV vaccines or infections resolve itself in all vaccines. Based on a new scientific information published for the last 15 years, it is generally agreed that identifying and typing HPV infection does not bear a direct relationship to stratification. Stratification is how your cells are lined up in your cervix or your womb, how it is lined up. When you take the HPV, it doesn't interfere with no stratification or cause more. So the point about it is, yes, so the point about it is, you're not really at risk. What are you taking this for? Because they touted that, hear them. They say it causes anal cancer. It causes cervical cancer. They say it causes cancer in your throat. They say you can get cancer all in the back of your, all kind of things. Now they tell you it causes cancer for.
This is vaccination, apart from all the other things, we have kind of dead virus, dead
particles.
Yeah, particles.
Yes.
That's
But the question Sister Denise is asking is if the vaccination have, you know, in a vaccine, they have actually particles of the very virus itself. In other words, hepatitis B, hepatitis A, in the vaccine they give you a weakened, they call it attenuated. They give you a weak form of the same virus. If your immune system is down, you're getting it for sure. So instead of it protect you, you'll get it.
Yes.
You understand? And the point about it is, they are saying that they didn't put no adjuvant. Lo and behold, when I get the ingredients list, aluminum is the adjuvant. Yes. So the adjuvant is a component to speed up the immune response quick in your body. No wonder why some materials, 4 hours after taking it, they drop down, respiratory failure, a whole side of them get paralyzed, they die. So I mean to say they keep lying. So here the conclusion of it. It is difficult to take an honest look at the scientific evidence and the statements made by the FDA and not come to the conclusion that mandatory garrison vaccination policies being pushed across the US are now based on something other than science. So it has no scientific basis for them bringing about this vaccine. They went on to say there are many theories exploring the motivation for such vaccine policy include financial benefit, conspiracy to poison people, control the sheeple, right? Big Pharma is pushing mandatory garrison. Remember just I showed you a guy named Bill Thousand who get 10 million when he talked to Obama and push the healthcare. He also, with the governor of Texas, they pushed for it to be mandatory in certain states. They was pushing for that. And only because they want to ensure that they get the people to buy into the garrison. See the wickedness?
Probably I could just read a short quotation here. SDA news release March the 31st, 2003 acknowledges that, quote, most infections like HPV are short-lived and not associated with cervical cancer in recognition of the advances in medical science and technology since 1988. So they have known that the HPV does not give you cervical cancer. And the Food and Drug Administration releases this year.
Yeah, you know that.
Then why are they giving people the injection to get rid of the cancer? And the Food and Drug Administration says it does not give you cervical cancer. Merck told the Washington Post in an interview it had given $199,000 US to the American College Health Association, $300,000 to the American Society for Colposcopy and Cervical Pathology, and 250,000 to the Society of Gynecologic Oncologists. So they're giving them trifle funds and making how much?
Billions.
They're not even giving them millions, just a few. And therefore they will come on board and say, well, yes. You need the vaccine. And it is the Gynecological Association of Trinidad and Tobago that approached the Ministry of Health and told them the need to give this vaccine to pre-pubescent children in schools because they receive money from people away. So in other words, you're paying them money to make people get money.
So Diane, we told you it's the 2nd of November, they started it. The 2nd of November, they already tell them, they're coming in the, where they coming? In the, right. So they're coming in the schools and they're coming in the different places, the 2nd of November. Up to now, brethren, look at this wickedness and this deception. The minister, Farouk Khan, said that his ministry will make sure they let the public know. They started it November the 2nd, they started to inoculate, but up to now, you all have presented to the public the pros and the cons. You all have told them that look, this thing has side effects. You all have told them anything. All of they told is that it's so efficient. It's so efficient. That is it. So the public here, well, according to Brother Troy, they don't have a general idea. Oh, vaccines are good, you know, it's good. So now they come and prevent our young children from having this HPV when it do come along. When they start to be active, sexually active, they will be protected. Oh Lord. Yeah. Brethren, we are sitting ducks.
You should not give a 6-year-old girl
sitting ducks
or a 9-year-old girl injection on the speculation that they will be indulging in sexual intercourse. What are you saying now? What are you telling me?
They are alliance, packing these things.
This is horrible. This is extremely horrible. We want to know that if the government is supposed to be watching and taking care of our country, why they allow themselves to be caught in this delusion? Can the Minister of Health just simply go to the SDA and ask them, does it not state that the HPV does not give cervical cancer? Then why are you giving Gardasil to children to make them not get cervical cancer from HPV? Can the Ministry of Health do something?
They know what they're doing.
But you have to start protecting your daughters.
Yes.
And if in here they come in to give them injection, refuse to take it. Right? It is your right to tell them you don't want your child to get it.
Yes.
And if they say, well, if your child gets it, your child will infect somebody. After all, you know that my child will be in sexual intercourse with somebody who wants to get it. That's what you have to talk to them. Children are too young to do this to them.
Yes.
So something has to be done.
Why did Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation give almost 28 million US to an international health group to try to figure out how to introduce a female-only HPV vaccine into socially conservative countries like India, Uganda, Peru, and Vietnam, where infection rates have been soaring. So they say there's good life. And the prospect of many more women dying of cervical cancer. In the years ahead, this is very real. The side effects reported by the U.S. Center for Disease Control in July 2008 found that 7,802 persons who received Gardasil vaccine reported adverse reactions to CDC vaccine adverse event reporting. That is a system called VAERS. It is Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. And when they went to that system, they found that out of approximately 13.5 million doses that were given in the US, you had 7,802 people who had terrible adverse reactions. So you see, so you think
they have
that is too much.
much, but they have standards out of a certain amount to allow for effects in a certain amount. So they will say, well, okay, that's possible. But the point is whose children or whose child will get it. They can't predict. So should you take a chance with your child? That's the way.
I have a question, right?
Yes.
All these vaccines, right? Most of these things are being manufactured in China.
India.
No. Actually, with the farmer, the company, right?
Yes.
Some of them are in England, some of them in the US.
Germany.
Some of their companies in China and India. India or China responsible.
Right.
Because why I asked, because I saw something on the internet during this weekend where Sister Khan, they sent it to my Facebook page, where certain young women took the flu vaccine and these different things. And what they were saying is that these things were manufactured in China. And when they how they make it sound is as you know, China have it's one child or two children policy. So they're manufacturing these things to make people infertile. So that they can't have children, or if they have children, they can't have any.
Misinformation.
All the Chinese now have 2 children per family. The Chinese are some of the most popular people on the system.
Yes.
So the 2 child per family not working. And besides that, because the company is in China, we have a Nike company in China, it's not the Chinese responsible.
Right.
It's not the Chinese government behind it.
Jewish
So we have a technological organization. And okay, take a glass. Okay, put some what do you say they put in it? Take a glass with some water.
Put like this.
Put yeast.
Sorbate.
Polysorbate.
The other one.
Aluminum. Mix it together.
Yes.
That is what
And watch me. You're going to take all of that now on the assumption that all those quantities together is going to give you some magic working. And you're going to put it in the human body. The point is they have different properties and they are harmful. Putting them together doesn't neutralize the danger of each. And then you put it in the human body as if together is going to work some kind of magic. But it is just all the corruptions that are working here and will damage people, so there's nothing good about it in itself.
Right.
You see the concept of injection, and not just the concept of injection, the concept of what is being injected is the dangerous thing.
So before I close off, let me quickly give you, as I was reading before, what is the financial benefit? The financial benefit is the fact that Big Pharma is pushing mandatory Gardasil vaccine policies so it can profit from selling more vaccines to the various states. This idea is at least partially supported by the fact that the first state governor to mandate such vaccines was Texas Governor Rick Perry had undisclosed ties to Big Pharma. A top official in Perry's administration worked directly for Merck.
But I say you always get the rat in the bed with the companies.
Yes. Okay? Because this same man Thousand is who gave Eliav Bar, who is the Israeli doctor, he gave him an award for bringing forth Gardasil. And who back in Thousand? Bill Gates. So who it is having strange bedfellows, you know?
Yes.
So is Obama taken from Big Pharma, who is Thousand represents Big Pharma, and they cut a $80 billion deal, and that is why they could have pushed this healthy on the American people, this overhaul. So you see, you just take time and wait. Here the second thing is a conspiracy to poison people. This theory, which may stretch the bounds of belief for some people, proposes that mandatory vaccines are put in place in order to create future disease by poisoning the people with dangerous chemicals and DNA fragments that are knowingly added to the vaccine. The poison of the people will pay off in future profits, because when those people develop other serious disease requiring treatment with medication, they will kill you again. Many people who support this theory currently believe, for example, that AIDS was engineered. Well, we know that. Okay? Control the sheeple. This theory supposes the main purpose of mandatory vaccine is to train the American public to get to submitting to compulsory medicines. Once a certain segment of the population is targeted and effectively injected with mandatory medicines, these policies can now be extended to other groups and it could encompass entire populations. The first theory, financial benefit, is the simplest and easiest theory to believe. It requires nothing more than simple greed on the part of the pharmaceuticals and also with the usual level of corruption seen at the FDA. Natural News believes this is the most likely explanation for events surrounding Gardasil vaccination, but we do not rule out other possible explanations either. You see? So right now as we speak, I was looking to get the paper that showed that Merck, the same Merck, is suffering a recall. A recall. You remember, anybody remember this week in the newspaper you saw something causing meningitis and 7 people die already from it?
Yeah.
And no. In one of the countries where they was talking about it, Merck is behind that. Merck is responsible for that drug. You see? And right now they are also lobbying. They have 13 more vaccines to come out and they want FDA approval. And brethren, because they have strong lobbying to get these things in place, they will get it. Eventually they will get it. It's a steroid for back pain. And they say the steroid is contaminated. So it's going straight to the meninges, it's a covering, a very thin covering your brain, the meninges, and when that is inflamed, it is called meningitis. So they're getting something called a viral meningitis, and that's killing them off in no time. Again, who is behind that? Look, who was behind Vioxx? Look, plenty of these people, GlaxoSmithKline. They have the various tablets that will cause people death and different things. Yes, Sister Deb.
Sister Agnes says that more than 45 people in the States have just died over a few weeks ago since given. So 45 people have died. Yes. A few weeks ago. Yes.
So they are saying on the news that they expect to get more. They expect to get more victims because of this tainted vaccine that they give, this painkiller that they give. They say it is going to affect many more people. So, brethren, what I would say is this: you will get, now that I have the different evidence, I'll put it together in a properly compact form. I will give it to the brethren that you all be able to give your monies and you can get your handouts. We need to let people know. Of course, you need to have the evidence so you can let the people know. And the thing about it is you have clinic every Tuesday all over the place. There's a clinic for people with children. Everything sometimes you can pass around, you can pass around. Let some of these people know.
Your children
this Gardasil is not as a pie in the sky as it is made to sound. This thing is serious. Don't wait until it turns out fall like flies and then just say, oh God, if somebody cannot tell us. Yes. I am sorry, brethren. I didn't have the means to bring something here for you all to watch. Where you see the people and then they cry and they show you the children. The girl cried, the girl say, I was an active 15-year-old girl. The girl say, no, I can hardly walk. The girl say, I cannot walk unattended. She has to walk holding and people have to help her. 15 years. The girl, the next one say, I can't ride my bike from point A to point B. 16, 17 years, 18, 19 years. You hear all these girls talking and they cry. And they say, please, if at least my life could stop all you, my experience could stop you all you take you. These brothers coming up at this one say that you're seeing the people and then they show you and their doctors say that it's because of the Gardasil triggering. the aluminum and different things, triggering other things within their body, causing them even to be more sick. So really actually,
Mrs. Juliet, I don't even understand why they have to give these children that so small. I don't understand. That's a mystery to me.
In case when you get older, they have sexual intercourse.
That is, I can't understand that either.
They shouldn't put those things in children's mind.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Put those things in their mind.
That
That is what I'm saying.
right.
You have to get that to people.
Is it too late to launch?
Huh?
Knowing that they could implement it by
Well, people could lobby, people could write in the papers, people could make petitions. Sometimes a voice is heard and they don't know how far it will go. So let me quickly tell you all about this morning, brethren. This morning, in the week, Sister Cindy called me and she told me that the Ministry of Health was having this forum on recognizing how they will integrate herbal therapy into ordinary medical mainstream. But what it is they really had, they had the Minister of India, and he came with a contingent from India. Right, so the Minister of Health from India came with his contingent, and they came and they said, well, look,
the contingent represented Ayurvedic medicine.
that is what they represent.
And that Ayurvedic medicine is what you call an international money-making
They
corporation.
call it AUSH, A-U-S-H, but it's an acronym, eh?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So notice that it's really one group or one race of people having their religious type of medicine.
And using herbs.
That is now a big business. That really was there.
Right,
Go ahead.
and Trinidad government is going to be buying into it, and they're using an integrative approach. So they are saying that they want to integrate the practices, the medical practices here, together with the herbal preparations that we use here, with that Ayurvedic mix and integration. However, they're lying. They're lying because
You have to make sense of what they say. Let us say you have you go in the field and get your herbs and so on, make a concoction and you're selling it. That will not be allowed.
no,
It must come under Ayurvedic
you
medicine.
will be charged 1,500 or 3 months in prison.
Right, so that's the question. It must come
You
under
will be
Ayurvedic
charged
medicine.
1,500 or 3 months in prison. That's what they said this morning.
Okay, what they were explaining is that the Food and Drug Association, the laws that govern that indicates that herbs of itself does not have a place. So what their intentions to do is modify the law and have it open that natural herbal medicine will be open to all. But it's going to have conditions. And what they are doing is using the Minister of Health and the arm in which they would have already patterned for their country. And they're using that pattern to imitate in Trinidad. And they even indicate that when Pamela had went abroad to India, that was one of the arms that she was looking at, trying to imitate that. I think even in the debate, they also indicated that there's that arm also existed in China. So I don't know if what they proclaim, because when the beginning of the meeting, it seemed as if they started off saying that, you know, we just having sessions and bringing it to the public, but then within the whole ramification, it looked as if they had already agreed to go forth with the whole plan from what it is structured in India.
They already agreed that.
So, I don't know if it's a scare tactic also by showing that because of the outdated laws that exist in Trinidad and Tobago at present, they're showing that the persons who are operating at present in Trinidad, like practitioners, and if they were to crack down literally now with the laws that we have now, which is, I think it's dated 1961, they will actually have to pay a fine. So everybody got frightened, like, okay, what is the issue now? So I guess that's what the question
Right. So what they also said, they said that because of not having a regulatory body, they are going to be the regulatory body, and they show that they want to put legislation in place. So the legislation, they are seeking to implement laws for the practicing of herbal medicines, right? And they went into the pharmacology of it, they went into the kind of compounds and what they'll be synthesizing, they went into the homeopathic practice, which really and truly is opposite to what medical mainstream are accustomed to using tablets, using their drugs, whether synthetic or real, whereas the homeopathy, they really use or incorporate plants with their herbs, whether it's the roots, whether it's the leaves, whether it's the flowers, whether it's the stems, whatever. So they are saying you have no way of really knowing how much to give per person. And therefore they need to regularize that. Fine, I have no objection to that. But when you're coming to tell me that the people who will have to be regularized under these acts, that they have a certain stipulation they have to fulfill. If they bring out a compound, they have to give it pharmacologic value, they have to give all the ingredients in it, they have to give so many different stipulations, which I know to myself, brethren, let us be real, they can't fulfill that. So in other words, they really shut them down before they start. And added to that, when stand up and ask them now, excuse me, well I want to know, since you're espousing this integration in Trinidad and Tobago, two questions. Would you be having homeopathic schools to train people? And would you, what disciplines, scientific disciplines, do you recommend a person have if they want to be an aspiring herbologist? Here, Minister Khan, I will take that question. You start. Yes, yeah, Minister Khan. Yeah, he was there. So yeah, I'll take that question. Yeah. Well, yes, the first question. We will we are looking at, we will be having we have certain plans to have certain things in place for people who would take. And to the second discipline, which is I asked about the scientific disciplines, what people need to have, what. Yeah, he said that yet is to be considered and so on and so on. But the thing about it, you know what he said? He said they'll be giving the doctors. He said, right now as it stands, no herbalist can't touch nobody. He said you're not to prescribe, you're not to administer nothing to them. He said the doctors will do that. He said in future this one will be giving the doctors the honors or the opportunity to get short or his scholarship that they will go and learn about herbology. So look who is going into the hands of it. Never is going to come into the hands of Trevor Sears and these other people. It's going straight into the hands of the doctors.
Yes.
Trevor Sears was there.
And he asked any question?
He get up and he get on, he addressed them, but he get on bad. Yeah.
I have a question, right? Everybody, if not everybody, most people know that the doctors in the medical field don't agree at all, and they don't believe at all in herbs. So how are you going to get them to do that when they against that? They are even against simple things like letters and pencils.
Okay, hold on. I think it's about time I read here. And Sister Juliet just put this in my hand, right? Now, as I'm saying before, notice I am the one who said the Ayurvedic people, right? Yeah. Now, how I know, I read where the Ayurvedic people were coming down from India in the contingent to discuss. Now, they are the ones that are supposed to deal with herbal products, but it is under a whole big, what you call, pharmacological organization. Now, I'm reading here for you. Listen to this.
Yeah.
The ministry has a responsibility to protect the health of the citizens. This requires the establishment of rules to govern the registration, importation, manufacture, storage, distribution, sale, and use of herbal medicinal products. So in other words, only people who can you have to have importation, manufacture, storage, distribution, and sale. What does Ayurvedic medicine has to do with it? It is an Indian corporation that is already established that way. So it comes like if you want to take the, what we call the normal, what we call local herbs that are used by people, remove it out, and have an organization that already does that take over. Yeah. So instead of the money going to like Trevor CS and others, they go to the Ayurvedic people. Now watch this, watch this. Watch. A herbal subcommittee has been established by the Drug Advisory Committee. Now, little did you know that I actually saw some of the people that actually spoke on television and who was supposed to be part of this committee. One of them is an Indian person that actually brings those same herbs from Ayurvedic herbs into the country. So you're taking your people already who already have your national herbs and you're bringing them into a committee now as if it's open. Why didn't you take the average people who are actually producing herbs here and put them in the committee too? So it says a global committee has been established by the Drug Advisory Committee to advise and assist the latter committee on standards, schedules, and conditions of sale for herbal medicinal preparations and any other matters connected therewith. So if you take in those same people and you have them on that committee, they will not obviously allow any normal person practicing herbs to get through. It will be those herbs that are already prepared in that corporation. It goes on. The Drug Advisory Committee recommends to the Honorable Minister of Health products for approval. Notice the Drug Advisory Committee recommends to the Honorable Minister of Health products for approval. Now if the Drug Advisory Committee is doing that, why don't they not say Ayurvedic? It's not the common traditional medicine that we have. That's a herbal medicinal corporation. Why is it they don't say, forget them? But you bring down these contingent while you are saying this. While you are saying this, they have a plan. The plan is to take money from the natural herbalists and funnel it into these organizations, which will pay back to them and so on. Watch this. The herbal subcommittee consists of persons. The herbal subcommittee consists of persons with interests and expertise in taxonomy, right? Pharmacy, right? Pharmacognosy, pharmacology, chemistry, conventional medicine, and herbal medicine. Now, when they say the herbal medicine, they will be like Ayurveda because they didn't take Trevor Sayers. They didn't take Mother Nature, and they didn't take other well-established herbal organizations into that, right? Then it says here, one more point I want to read here. Assessment for product registration. Assessment for product registration. And watch the line. Any drug is unknown by name, form, properties, and actions will cause complications. So too, when a known drug is badly administered. Is there any known drug that is badly administered? You just take the drug and it could cause what they call side effects. So this is actually justifying their bad drugs by saying it is badly administered. It is not badly administered, it is bad. To ensure that safe and efficacious herbal drugs, notice what? Safe and efficacious herbal drugs reach the customer, the following are considered by the subcommittee, and then you get a whole set of different medicinal kind of terms you will have to go into, which of course Mr. Sayers won't be able to. And the average herbal person, if you take some black sage, and then you take some Christmas bush and you boil it and put it together, and you know it causes a certain thing, would you be able to go and show chemical properties? And would you be able to go and actually show how it works in the human body? No. So you see, so what they have done here, all this has nothing to do with Ayurveda, but they bring down those people together. The aim is already bring down the people who will take over the market. That's what they have done. And that is the reason why I pay careful note to why they bring them down. And I actually heard those people saying they agree with the government for registration because they have herbs that have been tried, herbs that have been investigated scientifically, and it was the Ayurvedic people speaking. So put it this way, what the Minister of Health is doing is taking away the money from the normal herbalists and putting it into the hands of organizations that will put money in the hands of people in India. You understand? That's what they will do. Why you didn't bring down one of them from Holland?
China.
Why you didn't bring down one of them from China with the Chinese herbs? Why you didn't bring down people from Switzerland who have beautiful, not beautiful, but products from Switzerland? Germany. But you bring down one organization, the Ayurvedic people, to give them to take over the market, while you remove now the actual people who practice the Trinidad today. And by the way, we already have, listen to me, we already have a book published that shows natural herbs in Trinidad and Tobago works. And we give you the properties and show it works.
Some of the best.
Why is it you don't tell Mr. Sears and others, well, take the book, learn it, and use it? Just tell them, take the book, learn it. It's right here. I have a copy and all. This is the point about it, is they want to take the money from one people and put it in the hands of another. That's what they're doing. And that's why I'm saying, listen to me. You have to be what you call vigilant. And you have to do something. You better make sure you learn your own herbal preparations and use it, because you have the rights before God to take the medicine of your choice and to refuse the medicine that you see is not good for you. And worse yet, that injection is not good for anybody's child on the presumption they will have sexual intercourse later. You shouldn't even put that in their mind.
That's right.
That's absurd.
That's right.
Right?
So you see, graduate by government in Canada, you have AYUSH, and right now in the University of the West Indies, an office is already established there to teach the so-called students and so on this system of Ayush. What is Ayush? Ayurvedic is the type of system of the herbal system that the Indians and they use, Ayurvedic. But this also includes what? Yoga. It also includes Unani, which is another form of therapy. It also includes Siddha. They explain these different things. We hope that everything went well on the recording. And if everything you want to record, if everything go well, we're will be able to get out. And the H is for homeopathy. Alright?
So homeopathy is just the relative. The rest is not good. Right. This is just the relative.
You understand? But look, the relative, according as it is presented by them, and not by the ordinary man. You understand? So really and truly, brethren, this is the form they gave to some people to show you what the official form looks like and the amount of questions they're asking you. And look at that. Before you even register what it is you make, you have to pay $750 up in advance. $750 you have to pay in advance. Right? If you want to bring out a herb concoction or whatever it is, you have $750 to pay up front. And this was what they gave out this morning from the Ministry of Health, the future of herbal medicine. But the real future of herbal medicine, graduate, is ready to shut it down and let one small interest group control everything. That's the real thing.
But did they ever have that specification for anybody before this?
Yes, it was there. It is in the regulatory structure since 1961, but it's not actively being implemented.
So then why they have to bring somebody from India to put it in?
No, it's just like
this is it.
Watch it. One of the lecturers here is the same Ayurvedic Thusia. And I'm others here too, right, who have interest with them. Right, so you have these people who already have a controlling interest in other countries. They're the ones that will take over the market down here. But they won't want to say, well, we will take over the market. But they will speak in such a way to make sure the natural herbal practice people will lose their ability to practice it when they take over the market. And let me just add one more thing to it here. Let me just add one more thing. You have to watch me. Some lawyers, and these people are very, very, very tricky and smart people. Section 34 just revealed one thing. They draft a law. The law cannot work, Section 34 cannot work by itself. It could only work with the whole bill.
Right.
The whole bill wasn't ready. You take Section 34, which is a formed law. You went and you proclaimed it on Independence Day, when everybody is rejoicing secretly. The next week, it is not even written in the government's paper yet, white paper. They will have to come out there before you could use the benefit of it. All of a sudden, these rich businessmen, 10 of them, they only give it the name of 2 in Trinidad, there's 10 of them. Right? All of a sudden, these rich businessmen went and paid some kind of a reprieve from their charges through this law. Ask them, since this woman declared in private, and since it didn't come out in the government white paper yet, how come you know? But watch me. Just recently, a large contract is given to the daughter of one of those same people by the government. Notice this, the government, one of those same people. You have these men charged with practicing fraud in Trinidad and Tobago, one door, a glass door, that will cost about $900. You put it for $9,000. And you practice a whole set of fraud. Your family now suddenly come up with a company, voila, they now get government contract. If you want to distance yourself from these corrupt people, why are you giving your contract to their family, to their children? One last thing. All the time, let me just say, all the time, Brazil is making the barrels for the fish. For all the time they're making the barrels with. Their price is very low. Overnight, a company just come up, you cut off Brazil for making it, and that company is charging 3 times the cost of Brazil, you give them the contract. I thought you want to save money because of budgetary constraints, but to me, like you just giving your people in business the money, while you're taking away from a people that was charging very less. You see, so I'm trying to tell you, brethren, is corruption after what? Corruption after what? Corruption. They're all corrupt, all of them. And this is the reason why I'm trying to tell you, they want to mix their hand out in people's health choice. That's where they're going to have to be stopped. If they don't stop them there, it's going to come, because they're planning out to change the law. Remember when Mr. Manning was in power? They're attacking for wanting to be an executive president, which is not a bad thing. No, they want to be executive president. If it was wrong for him, how come it right for you? Hypocrisy right through. Watch what is going on. So we're going to have to deal with this drugs business. Amen. Somebody needs to compile a whole set of advertisements that shows the side effect of much of those drugs, put them together and present them to the government. If you're going to stop drugs, what about these drugs that you're allowed to pass?
And the dangerous.
And remember, the government will have a system of checking the side effects of these drugs on people in Trinidad and Tobago. So you don't go around and say, oh, how it affect you and how it affect you. Although it states all the terrible side effects, so you need to put up half an hour of half-minute advertisements together in a movie, and you have to show the government, look at the side effects here, look at how it damages people, and you don't allow this to pass. Why then you interfere with herbs? There's no proof anywhere, any herbs prepared ever damage anybody. We have plenty proof of these drugs. How then therefore you could put the wolf or the fox in charge of the hen house?
One of the persons asked, what is the GDP ratio in India? In reference to the GDP ratio and contribution to the health sector, and in comparison to the same policy that they have, trying to get some statistics from them, asking them if they have seen a drop in the type of illnesses in their country. They couldn't answer that. So they couldn't even prove why they chose India to be the standard, the exemplary, or how you put it, to even apply it here. Why didn't you use somewhere else? And then they was looking at the fact of, they posed a question, one of the persons asked a question, why just India? Why the panel didn't have a cross-section of different places? His explanation was, the reason why this was done, he didn't expect, this is the Minister of Health, he he didn't expect this turnout. They were shocked at the turnout because the place was packed. He didn't expect it.
He said it himself.
He didn't expect the turnout. So he said it was the embassy. The Indian
minister is who came as our guest.
They offered to come as a guest. But then it doesn't make sense because they're saying that Kamala would have went to India also. So how we say it's an offer. And then
what if we are offer? What if she has an offer? I didn't put them on the panel.
Trevor also said that he didn't understand why he wasn't even asked, knowing that he's one of the popular.
You see that?
And then the last point was one of the speakers who was speaking, one of the professors indicated this was not the first meeting held in Trinidad concerning it. This was the third one, and this was the only one that was publicized.
So the other two went in secret.
So it was a secret.
So they have plans already.
One was held at the Jawali Nagara.
Okay.
One before was held at some other place. Yes. So you see how they are? You understand? Sister Nicole.
Before one, this is for arm, right?
Yes.
And I'm not surprised at what you said because you already told us that this was going to take place. You remember that?
Yes.
You remember some years ago, when 2 or 3 years ago, when you did a study on the herbal, what is call it? Medicine, something medicine, alternative medicine.
Yes,
that was now. Right. You said that, and I have the hand up. So I am not surprised. I don't know why everybody is surprised when you already told us this is what is going to take place. I am not surprised. You told us.
Sister, the deceitfulness of the people. The deceitfulness of these people.
Because people so bold-faced.
So deceitful.
Number one, you're working with conspiracy.
Yes.
Understand?
Yes.
When you come out, they're so bold-faced.
Yes.
And then when they come out, you are making law for people who you didn't even consult.
That's right.
That's what is so ridiculous.
Just like last one. The graduate someone named Noel. The new ones wouldn't know him. But he was there and he stood up and he gave them the because he stood up and he said, Noel. He stood up and he said, I am saying hypocrisy being practiced here. Plain and straight. No.
Sister Julia, repeat what you just said.
I said for those who don't know him, those who know him as Noel. Was here. Right. So I said he stood up and he tell them he smelled hypocrisy. Yeah. He showed them, he said, because why is it that when I stand here, everybody here who talking is one ethnicity, everybody at the panel is the same ethnicity. Where's the Chinese? Where's this one? Where's that one? You understand? Which meant everybody was Indian. Yeah. Everybody was Indian. So all the panelists were Indian. And all the minister and whoever from the everybody was Indian. One man in Compton, the gray hair guy, speak well good. The professor, he was an ego, and the girl with the comptroller who told them about the food and drug. Right, food and drug girl, that is everybody. Everybody. They came from India. And then man when he started talking, nobody couldn't understand that part.
No, I understand it, money. I'm dead before us. Brethren, it's a hoax.
You understand the man was saying money.
Are you serious?
That's what I'm saying. The reason why Mr. Noel had to say it's hypocrisy and one ethnicity is because the aim is to get the Ayurvedic medicine people to take over herbal preparations in Trinidad and Tobago. That is a big global corporation producing toothpaste and all. And the international bankers have investments in that. They come with herbs to take over with, they come with international herbs to take away herbs from the people in the country. And something is going to have to be done about that. Okay, brethren? Okay? Now, these things you heard it here first, okay, brethren?
Amen.
And you see, we don't only share righteousness by faith,
Yes.
but we also share the works that's supposed to be produced by righteousness and faith.
Amen.
And the works is not just understand corruption.
Yes.
And those corruptions are going to have to be dealt with and exposed. We're going to move to deal with all of this bit by bit, portion by portion. Okay, my dear brethren? We're going to have to put it and let people know.
Amen.
But we risk coming up against that government. And no problem, let's come up against it.
Yes.
The truth must stand. What do you say? Yes, brother. Quickly.
After listening to this brilliant, and it came from God. That this is doing your personal research and enlightening your mind with these truths. I am really blessed and touched by it. When I go to my book now, every day we have another children there. I can pass on this knowledge to them. And quickly in closing, I just want to phrase everything that has been said. Everyone just want to phrase it this way. You know, without divine intervention from God, especially nowadays in these times which we are living, as far as I'm concerned, this is just my humble opinion. Without the divine intervention of God, these people and all those who conspire together, the Jews and all the others who Satan is working with, they are spiritually inept, they are morally corrupt, and they are intellectually bankrupt. This is where the church will come in and finish the work in Jesus' name.
Amen. Amen. And that's why we have to learn the natural herbs for ourselves. What do you say? Amen. And eventually, when we have the new building up there, Sister Juliet is going to give us, and Sister Denise are going to give us, of course, we're using different herbs. Okay, brethren? For different things. We're going to have plenty schools up there, okay? Remember that, right? It's just a community center. But when we have our own place, we'll be able to run schools, dealing with all those sort of things. Okay, my dear brethren? Okay, listen, we are set off for real enjoyment, excitement, and adventure for those who love it. Okay, my dear brethren? Everybody have a part to play, okay? Don't hide, God will select you, and you will have to do your work. What do we say? Okay? All right, then now we'll now have our closing prayer. Let's start.
Okay, children, and also brethren, your head. Okay, brethren, we are about to approach the throne of grace. Kind Father, we thank you for all these wonderful truths that thou hast set forth before our minds, Father, so that our work can be done on your behalf. We ask, O gracious Father, that we really be vigilant and we be watchful, Father, and that while we learn to remain in sinfulness, O Holy Father, we also learn the wiles of the wicked one, so that we will see them from afar off and thereby be protected against all their wickedness in high places. Father, be with each and every one of us and help us to continue in righteousness. These mercies we thank you for, not only for now, but for the coming week. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.